sure most of you know, or there's millions of these animals all over the world, and I'm sure most of you have one at home as a pet and that you love dearly. Fortunately, these animals are being abused and neglected every day and are losing their lives because of greed. I'm here to talk to you about the very cruel and illegal blood sport called dogfighting, to make you all more aware about how horrible this sport is. What is dogfighting? Dogfighting is a sport in which dogs are made to fight, sometimes to the death, for entertainment. The fights are used for revenue and are also used for gambling and is very illegal. In dogfighting, there's 3 levels. First level is street fighting, which is very informal. Sometimes usually the fights occur like on a random street corner or at a park at night. The street fights are used to show dominance. The owners of the dogs use it to show dominance to other rival gangs. It's pretty much like my dog can kill your dog. And they have a complete lack of respect for the animals, using starvation, beating, isolation, drugs to encourage the dog's aggressiveness and to urge them to fight. This is what street fighting looks like. These are the care that they usually give. And here's like them fighting on a park or something. And then the second level is hobbyists. They're more organized than dogfighting, and they have more dogs, probably like 3 or 4, but they usually don't take care of like all of them. If like one dog's really successful, they'll focus all their attention on that dog, and then they'll just like treat the other dogs like crap, basically. And they only use the fight for income, and the care is horrible even to the dog that is good at fighting. And that's what hobbyist dog is. This is the dog. I read a story on him, and that he was like not a very good fighting dog, and that's the care he received. And you can see like the pens that they are put into. The third level is professional. Professional dog fighters usually have 50 or more dogs, and professional dog fighters focus more on breeding, selling, and fighting dogs. Breeding is very inhumane, I guess you could say, because the females are used as birthing machines, pretty much just have babies over and over and over and over again until like they can't produce anymore and they pretty much die. They focus on the health of successful fighting dogs and less on the unlucky dogs. If a professional dog fight happens and one dog loses, the dog will be pretty much of no use to the owner anymore, and they use blunt force trauma, shooting, or they put him back in their cage with their wounds untreated and left to die. And that's what professional dog fighting looks like. You can see there's tons of dogs that are being housed for fighting, and you can see the wounds over and over on this one from like years of fighting. And that's one that was left untreated to die. There's a picture of another of him dead like a few days later, but I didn't put that on there because it was kind of... The breeds that are used for dog fighting are dogs with a tough build, and short muzzles and big heads, because if they have a short muzzle and big heads, that means they have a powerful bite. The dogs are used, those kind of dogs are like Prishka, I can't pronounce that name, the widely known pit bull terrier, and Rottweilers. That's the pit bull terrier, and the pit bull, and then the Persic one I can't pronounce, and then the Rottweiler. There's more dogs, but I just use these ones because I knew you guys would probably know what kind of dogs they were. How are those dogs obtained? They're obtained by, they get sold from breeders, or they just grab them off the streets, or they'll go to shelters and get those dogs and then train them to fight. How are the dogs, like when someone like gets a dog and then, or buys it or whatever, once it's obtained, they'll crop its ears, which is, usually it happens as a puppy, but some people are really inhumane and do it when it's an adult and can feel it. And what I've heard, they use scissors to just cut the ears off. And So, and then they dock the tails, which is usually happens as a baby too, but sometimes that happens as an adult. And sometimes they'll tie a rubber band around the tail so it cuts the blood circulation off and the tail will just fall off. But if that happens as a baby, it doesn't hurt as much. But if it happens as an adult, it's so painful because sometimes they don't know how to do it, so the tail's like, yeah. They do that because it's less area for the other dog to grab onto and less injuries. Once a dog has its ears and tail cropped off, or sometimes, that only usually happens in professional dog fighting, they are able to fight in roles. A role involves two dogs. One dog's a game dog, which is the dog being fight, and one dog's the bait dog, which is a dog that was unsuccessful fighter, is usually maybe a cat or like a rabbit, or a dog with like an illness, or an older dog. And that dog has either its teeth ripped out or shaved down to nothing, or its claws cut down to nothing, and that's pretty much like ripping your nail off. That's what they do. Or they duct tape its mouth shut and duct tape its paws together so it doesn't cause injury to the game dog, which is the dog being trained. And I hope this is the right flag. Yes, it is. That's what a dog tail looks like that's unsuccessful. And that's a puppy that got its ears. Well, was trying to get its ears were being cropped off. And this is a dead bait dog, and that's a dog that's about to be a bait dog. After they are trained and participate in fights and are all that training that's involved, they participate in real fights, which real fights can last minutes to hours long, depending on how strong the dog is and how healthy it is. In fights, they sustain injuries such as like puncture wounds, lacerations. I saw pictures with like dogs' lips and ears torn off. It's horrible. Or sometimes they die. They just leave them in the ring. And this slide's going to be kind of gruesome because I wanted to get in your heads that this is a really bad thing, so you guys can look away. I blocked out his face because I thought that was necessary, but here's his dog, and that's it after. The care of these dogs, even if it's a professional, good fighting dog, is not good at all. They're kept in cages for all their life except when they're fighting, and the cages are like so small they can like barely turn around. You can see just lines and lines of cages. I hope after this speech you got it has opened your eyes to how dogs are man's best friend and have protected us for years, and now it's our turn to protect